Salaam Namaste Salaam Namaste.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1 and here we go. Salaam Namaste 90.4 सामुदायिक रेडियो स्टेशन पर दोस्तों स्वागत है आपका हैप्पी माइंड हैप्पी हेल्थ में। और यहाँ हमारी कोशिश होती है कि जब आप हेल्थ की बात करते हैं तो मेंटल हेल्थ शुड बी द मोस्ट हैप्पीएस्ट पार्ट एंड यू शुड स्माइल व्हेनेवर कम्स टू योर माइंड। अब इस माइंड पार्ट को स्माइल करवाने के लिए हमारे पास एक नहीं तीन मेंटर्स हैं एंड आई एम रियली हैप्पी एंड आई हैव अ वेरी ब्रॉड स्माइल व्हेन दिस प्रोग्राम कम्स एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दिस प्रोग्राम हैप्पी माइंड हैप्पी हेल्थ, because ultimately everything starts from the mind, your thought, how you execute, how you implement, how you take it and how you absorb it, how you adapt it and how you adopt it. सारी चीजें जो है दिमाग से शुरू होती हैं और दिमाग की सेहत जो है वो आपकी अंदरूनी खुशी के साथ जुड़ी हुई है। So welcome to Happy Mind Happy Health। और हमारा आज का प्रोग्राम शुरू करने से पहले let me have a big brand and grand welcome to the mentors। हमारे साथ अंतरिक्ष सर हैं। Hello, welcome to Salaam Namaste sir, how are you?
Thank you, Barsha. Thank you for having us on the show.
This is such a pleasure. Yeah,
it's actually a pleasure to have to be with you and the audience listening to us.
This is again a great pleasure for us as well। और हमारे साथ एक और मेंटर है, अंबिका मैम है, नाम उनका वॉरियर है and she's a real warrior।
Hi Barsha, hello audience, thank you listeners for having us on air. It's because of you all that we are on air and thanks again Barsha.
Yes, thank you so much ma'am and this is vice versa and absolutely because your charm and all the mentors have a different charm with which the listeners are also glued। आज हैप्पी माइंड हैप्पी हेल्थ में हम बात कर रहे हैं डिप्रेशन और एंजाइटी की। वेरी कॉमनली सीन, वेरी कॉमनली अंडरस्टूड, बट आई विल से नॉट अंडरस्टूड इन डेप्थ। जब हम इसकी बात करते हैं तो कई बार उसे स्किप करने की कोशिश करते हैं, कई बार चाहते हैं कि बात न करें तो अच्छा है और कई बार सोचते हैं कि हमारे साथ न हो तो अच्छा है। सबसे पहले आपसे और अंतरिक्ष सर से जानना चाहेंगे, हाउ डू यू डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन स्ट्रेस, डिप्रेशन एंड एंजाइटी?
जैसे आपने कहा, हम सब यही चाहते हैं कि हमसे ये सब दूर रहे। वेरी ट्रू, वेरी राइटली सेड Barsha। So let me not talk much around the bush. Let me just begin with the topic. Stress is a human being's reaction to any unknown situation। और जो स्ट्रेस है वो बहुत ही नेचुरल सा रिएक्शन है एंड दिस इज अ रिएक्शन दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली फाइन व्हेन वी आर एबल टू कम आउट ऑफ इट ऑटोमेटिकली। जैसे ये प्रोग्राम शुरू होने से पहले आई एम श्योर यू हैड अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ स्ट्रेस, आई हैड अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ स्ट्रेस एंड द अदर मेंटर्स ऑन द शो आल्सो हैड अ लिटिल bit of stress because we just wanted it to begin the right way. But the moment we all started speaking, we are absolutely fine. So we automatically got out of that stress. And this slight amount of stress had a positive effect on us because it is now making us do our best. So having that slight amount of stress always has a positive effect. Now when we talk about depression and anxiety, these are two heavy clinical words used to describe pathological conditions. That means a condition that is not normal in any of us. But the problem now is, unfortunately, everybody is using this as very common words without realizing the depth and the gravity. And this is a very dangerous practice because these are very strong negative emotions and they are absolutely unhealthy. It creates a lot of problems in each of us who has these conditions of depression and anxiety. So depression is a state, Barsha, where one feels very hopeless. There is nothing, that person feels that he can do about. And this leads to the individual losing all the interest in his life to the extent that the person just stops doing every activity जिसमें उनको pleasure मिलता था पहले, जिससे उनको happiness मिलती थी. The person just starts feeling that there is nothing to look forward to. It is a mental state. Basically, it is a mental state where the person starts going deep down, यानी जो हम कहते हैं ना, spiraling down, and the person will not be able to come up on his own. And unfortunately, the individual does not even realize about it because he feels, it is laziness. Even the family members feel it is laziness. And, to make all the matters worse, a person under depression refuses to take any kind of help. So this is depression, to put it in a nutshell, to put it very shortly. And I started speaking about stress. Now when this stress continues and one is no longer able to come out of it automatically, as I mentioned before, it becomes a habit. And the person forms a habit to be stressed at every single thought, at every single situation. This is what becomes anxiety. So it's very easy to understand anxiety. In anxiety, we all get into a very continuous circle of doubts. And the main question the person with anxiety has in mind is, what if? In fact, it is called as what if thought process. So if I have to give you an example, the person with anxiety will think, what if I cannot meet everybody's expectations? What if this current situation will never get normal? And if you see, all these thoughts are based on the future, and there is no reality or facts attached to them. It is just a fear this person has, and the fear is continuous. But the problem is, this fear is so deep that they refuse to take any action, even if they are a capable person. So this is what anxiety is all about. So now that I have kind of differentiated stress, depression and anxiety, I would strongly suggest that we must look at whether a person is really depressed, or is the person just feeling a little low or a little sad, or is it just some mood swings the person is going through due to some kind of a medical situation. And similarly, is it really anxiety that the person is having, or is it some kind of an anxiousness because there is some uncertainty, or is it concern, which everybody has on a day-to-day basis. So before we jump into using words like depression and anxiety, it is up to us to check, are we anxious or are we in a state of anxiety? Are we feeling low or are we indeed depressed? So these are the basic differences between stress, depression and anxiety.
Absolutely. Very, very important to know, because at times we are under stress and or maybe we are just anxious, but we think that we are depressed. So how would you like to comment that, how have you seen your clients or people who come to you, like ये questions उनके दिमाग में भी अनुमान रहते हैं, very, very commonly asked?
बिल्कुल. So in fact, they're very sure that they're depressed and they are very, they have anxiety in them. So we start with asking very simple, basic questions. Like, we just ask them their daily routine. And being counselors and therapists, we understand from their daily routine if they are depressed. Like I told you, the simplest of symptom or the easiest way to understand if a person is depressed is that person would not be interested in any kind of activities, including taking a bath. But if the person says, oh no, my day has been fine and these are the 10 things I did, although 3 of them I did without wanting to do them, that person is not in depression. And then, when symptoms are being spoken, this would be taken up in detail. But since you asked me this question, with regards to anxiety, it is like, you just ask the person a question based on future. If the person is able to answer, obviously the person may be having a concern about the future, but he for sure does not have anxiety. And all these conditions, like if it is indeed depression or anxiety, they always have a physical problem as well. So when the person comes into the clinic for the first time, we check for all these things before we take what the patient says or the client tells us. Of course, we encourage them to speak their heart out, and then we get into our mode of counseling and asking the questions and assessments and things like that.
Happy mind, happy health. हमारे पास last but not the least हमारी एक और mentor है Bindia ma'am, and she always makes me remember that something which sparkles up your mind, क्योंकि बिंदी लगती वहीं पर है जहाँ मस्तक सज जाता है. Bindia ma'am, heartiest welcome to Radio Salaam Namaste. It is so endearing to have you in the program.
Yeah, hello listeners. I am Bindia Chugh, counseling psychologist and rehabilitation counselor and co-founder of Aananda Center for Counseling.
ओके, सो क्योंकि बात आनंदा की हो रही है और आज जो टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन है वो है डिप्रेशन एंड एंजाइटी, एक बहुत अहम सवाल आपसे हम पूछना चाहेंगे बिंदिया मैम कि डिप्रेशन और एंजाइटी कई लोग उसे एक जैसा समझते हैं, लेकिन वाकई में दोनों चीजें बड़ी अलग हैं. दोनों में symptoms क्या होते हैं, कैसे पता चलता है? What are the symptoms for depression and what are those for anxiety?
Yes, you are right, Barsha. Like there are a difference between stress and depression and anxiety. There are difference between their symptoms as well. If I talk about depression, sadness, empty feeling, tearful all the time are most common symptoms. Other symptoms could be loss of interest in activity that you enjoyed before, loss of energy, feeling worthlessness, guilty or self-hate, uncontrollable emotions like 1 minute there is an outburst of anger, the next minute the person starts crying, even when nothing has changed outside. Being unable to sleep or sleep too much, change in eating habit is another sign. The experience may be different from each person. Some people will have an increased appetite and gain weight, while other person would not be hungry and will lose weight even they are not dieting. Sometimes they can also think of death or suicide too. And in case of depression, symptoms as well as duration both matter. Feeling lazy, sad, lonely or grieving are common emotions we go through during a difficult life experience. But if someone has 5 or more of these symptoms for most of the day, nearly every day for at least 2 weeks, it's time to consult a professional like doctor, counselor or psychologist. Now coming to anxiety, symptoms could be excessive worry. This worry makes it very difficult for a person to concentrate and accomplish his daily task. Other symptoms could be racing pulse, sweaty palm, shaky hand, dry mouth, shortness of breath, insomnia, sleeplessness or muscle tension. Sometimes clients also complain about nausea, gastric problems, drowsiness and lightheadedness. If you have noticed this sign in you or your friend or family member, I would recommend it that professional help is needed.
Now that we have understood that what is what, let us also understand from you, ma'am, what would you like to quote as which is more really, really severe, stress, anxiety or depression?
Okay. So now, we're talking about absolutely different things and now we're trying to compare an orange with an apple. So let me put it in a different way, Barsha. Anything in life that you do and you're not aware of is a problem. So if you do something and you know why you're doing it, that's not a big problem. At least you have a reason. But the moment you don't have a reason or you're not able to figure out why you did an action, that becomes a problem for you. So like Bindia mentioned about, change sleep patterns in the symptoms. If for example, you take that you're sleeping for 10 hours and that too almost every day and you do not know why you're sleeping for such long hours, it is a problem. This would mean that you're not aware of your own actions and this is a dangerous situation. And this was one of the symptoms that Bindia mentioned for depression. Now, if you see both anxiety and depression fall under the circumstances where you're not aware of your mental state. Either the person is, just thinking about the future or the person is just not ready to think. So there is a severe lack of conscious awareness in either of the two cases. And now if I have to put it in one sentence, anxiety does not let you take any helpful action due to overthinking, and depression pretty much freezes your mind. So this makes both the conditions severe in their own way and they need to be addressed at the earliest in a very systematic way. Barsha, it really makes me feel very sad and very hurt when I see teenagers and youngsters going through these conditions so early in their life. So now you understand the gravity of both the situations. While teenage and being that 20 plus age is the prime time of your life, people are undergoing depression and anxiety here. So this is how severe the conditions are in their own ways, and both, as I said, need to be treated in a very systematic way by a professional.
Now I would like to request Antriksh to help us to know that how severe it becomes if depression is not identified in the correct way and correct time. So how, because you must be dealing with people who are undergoing depression तो कितना मुश्किल हो जाता है अगर देर हो जाती है और देर होने के बाद शायद सवेर भी ना हो पाए, हमें पता ही ना चले कि हाँ हमने आइडेंटिफाई किया. So how would you like to help us in this?
Yeah, Barsha. Yeah, that is a very important issue, especially in today's time when, we are giving very less time to our daily activities and our thought processes, and we are always busy with our professional life and find it difficult to make a balance. So, depression, when we talk about depression or anxiety, these are essentially subconscious states of mind. And when we say that subconscious states of mind, is that when in both these cases, we are merely reacting to situations. And to illustrate this, I'll start with a small example because that will give us a clear idea what we mean when we say that somebody is acting in depression or somebody is acting in anxiety. So say, for example, Barsha, you're walking down the road, right? In the night and it's absolutely dark, you're not able to see anything.
Yeah.
Okay? And suddenly a dog barks at you.
Oh.
So you get startled, right?
Yes.
And what happens now is that you instinctively pick up a stone and throw it at the dog.
Yes, so that I can save myself or like keep the
Yeah,
dog.
that's what we think at that time, right?
Yeah.
But this time the dog got hurt and it became even more violent.
Oh, yes, it does happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yeah.
And it started rushing towards you.
Yes. Yes.
Familiar situation, right?
Yes.
And now you feel threatened.
Yes.
You wanted to threaten the dog and now you feel threatened.
Actually, तो सिचुएशन बिल्कुल उल्टी हो जाती है और अब ऐसा लगता है कि दिमाग नहीं चल रहा, अब क्या करें?
हाँ,
Yes.
I'll show you that दिमाग पहले भी नहीं चल रहा था, right, Barsha?
हाँ, क्योंकि हमने गलत किया. You are so right.
Exactly. So you rush for your life now.
Yeah.
So you got yourself into trouble because you were not aware of your actions to begin with.
Yes.
And more importantly, the thought that prompted you to pick up that stone. You never thought why you are picking up that stone.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You just picked it up and threw it at the dog.
जी.
Now this is a condition which comes out of anxiousness. You suddenly became anxious the moment the dog barked at you. You could have easily assessed the situation and you could have thought that probably the dog is not has probably walked and gone on its own way and not doing anything, right? But instead, you tried to hurt it. So you merely reacted to situations, leading to consequences, which prompted you to react further. Now, it is a chain of reactions that is going to happen afterwards because our first action was not calculated at all. We never thought about it. Now, what will happen if I have to say that, if this is the case of a person who is in suffering from anxiety, so what will happen if a person who has depression would do? So if I have to answer that, I would say a person with depression will not even take that road, Barsha.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
Because he is very much assured that there will be a dog on the road and it will definitely and for sure bite him.
Okay. Okay.
So, a person in depression only sees harm. And that happens to him initially at a psychological level, but then it trickles down to the outside, that is the body. So, as already beautifully explained by Ambika, depression is a continuous state of low esteem, low worth, low confidence, everything low related to the mind. And we know that mind governs the body. So that's all, it's a perpetual low energy state of the body. That means all your physical processes, your circulation system, nervous system, immune system, endocrine system, metabolism is at continuously low energy state. So when you eat something, it doesn't get digested well. And even if it does not produce required energy. And nutrients are not absorbed properly as well. And over a period of time, health begins to further deteriorate. With severe depression, usually endocrine system also takes a hit, Barsha. And generally, this comes out in a form of hypothyroidism. So there's one thing important right now, since we have come down to hypothyroidism and endocrine dysfunction. I want to state that hypothyroid is a master gland for all metabolic activities. And when this is affected, your already ailing digestive system further declines. And it goes even further than that. Since we derive all of our energy through metabolism, all our muscles receive less energy, and the effects are the average body temperature falls to typical of 35, 36. This is a typical trait of a person who has hypothyroidism. This person will never have a high temperature. You remember if somebody has say high temperature 103, 104 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
A person who has hypothyroid will never have that temperature.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, never at all. And one more interesting thing about this is that if this person earlier had hypertension, there would be no hypertension after hypothyroid.
Okay.
Yeah, you know why?
Why?
Because now the body is not able to maintain even its normal temperature, because the entire metabolic activity has gone low. So the resources of the body are now less. And those who have hypothyroid know that getting up each day is also an effort, and no amount of sleep is enough at all. And all this while the person is on medication.
Okay.
Right? So the body is essentially, it's suffering and struggling to maintain a daily routine. So raising temperature also takes up resources. You need to burn fat or energy for the body to raise temperature. So the body even does not have that much energy. So how do you expect even the temperature to rise? And when it comes to women, these things are even more complicated, because the hormonal balance is also very intricate in case of women. And as a result, you see, Barsha, in today's time, fibroids of the gonads, PCOD, cyst are a common scenario. And I want to emphasize one thing over here is that these are common, not normal. And they are common because we all are living the same life, the life of undue stress and unrealistic aspirations. It's not normal because we created it, not life. And there is no individual on this planet who is depressed for a certain time, Barsha, and has a brilliant immune system. It absolutely takes a dive with you. With a weak immune system, you are a welcome target for all possible bacterial and viral threats. Now, Barsha, you know what happens now? It is the beginning of another vicious circle. The person with a weak immune system, because this is a problem that we don't understand in everyday life. We think somebody has said your immune system is weak, right? And we just take it on the face value. Yeah, the immune system is weak. We just have to take some medicines and the problem will go away. But, this person with an weak immune system begins to frequently fall ill. You must have seen that there are many people who with weak immune system, थोड़ा भी season change होता है and the person falls ill.
हाँ.
थोड़ा सा ठंडा खा लिया, एकदम से जुकाम बुखार हो गया.
Okay.
बाहर मार्केट में कुछ खा लिया, now you have a problem.
Yeah.
Right? And this makes this person completely to lose his trust completely on his immune system, and is now dependent upon medicines to even make it through common ailments in everyday life. There's not a single day, Barsha, when this person would not pop a pill because he's sure that something will definitely happen to him. And each medicine that you take comes at a cost.
It does, yes.
Right? So, to summarize all this, I just want to make a clear statement here that all these systems, and we have to remember this for our entire life, all these systems that we see in our body, be it endocrine system, be it digestive system, circulation, these systems are there to keep the brain alive. You must have seen somebody who's been beaten up by public on the road somewhere, or maybe you see those cases on TV. So what does the person tries to protect the first from people's onslaught? Which part of the body does the person tries to protect?
Maybe eyes.
Eyes, I would say it is the head.
Head, yes. The upper part. Yeah.
The upper part, right? So instinctively also we know what is priority, what is to be protected in us. The entire body is trying to keep the brain alive, trying to keep. If we can't walk, the legs don't become you can say restless. It is the brain that becomes restless. We feel restless, oh, I'm not able to walk. Right? So the body is an extension of the brain. When the brain loses its reason to exist, so that is a typical case of depression, right? You don't see anymore that your life is of any value or worth. All these systems that I just talked about are essentially nurtured and maintained by the brain, and they also lose their purpose. They too take a nosedive with you. So this is what happens to a person who is in depression or who is under sustained period of anxiety. So, the person loses interest in oneself, and all these systems which are there to protect the brain also lose their purpose. So they also go down with you. Yeah, Barsha.
Yeah, I must say that I never thought this way, and I'm sure कि जो listeners हैं उन्होंने भी कभी ये बिल्कुल नहीं समझा होगा कि इसके behind the scenes actual reason क्या है. और जो example आपने सुनसान सड़क पर चलते हुए डॉग का बताया, वो बहुत कॉमन है और हम अपने सबकॉन्शियस माइंड को समझ ही नहीं पाते. वी टेक इट एज एन इंसिडेंट, वी वॉक आउट एंड वी डोंट इवन अंडरस्टैंड. ये जो आपने बताया कि बहुत सारे यंगस्टर्स के साथ होता है कि दिन भर नहाने का भी मन नहीं करता. दे आर लाइक इन द सेम क्लोथ्स एंड दे जस्ट वांट द डे टू पास. दे आर वेटिंग फॉर समथिंग गुड टू हैपन, बट एट द सेम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम दे हैव दिस बिलीव दैट समथिंग रॉन्ग विल हैपन टू मी.
Yes, Barsha. It is, the belief is so strong that before you have even taken a step, you already have come out with a outcome that this is only the bad will happen to you.
Exactly.
So that is a dangerous situation, because once you have a belief in something, it actually starts happening with you. And I've given you examples in our previous episodes, Barsha, as well, and to the listeners as well. Ailments like rheumatoid arthritis are absolutely due to our psychological and emotional states. And there is no cure for it, because it is not caused by any virus or bacteria. It is your own thought processes that have become so toxic that they have started harming you.
Absolutely. So this is really serious. और अक्सर हम लोग जो ये ओवर वरी करने का एक प्रोसेस होता है, या मान लीजिए कि ऐसा है कि हम एक चीज को लेकर बार बार सोचने लगते हैं और फिर एंशियस भी हो जाते हैं. So I'll request Ambika ma'am to help us in this, that do we really if over worrying and anxiety both are interrelated? People who have a habit of over worrying, they also have an anxiety issue. So are they interrelated? Please help us.
Yes. Absolutely. Like Antriksh really elaborately told about, the connection between the thoughts and how the body responds or the organs respond to each of the thoughts that we have. So he has made my answer really simple. So just to put it, in a very precise and concise way, yes, the over-worrying and anxiety are both interrelated.
Okay.
Just to show you the logic, when one starts over-worrying, he or she starts getting upset over little things. Right? It's like, say for example, we are decorating our house. And you have put some beautiful artifacts on the wall, and I just come and take a look and don't reply or appreciate the way you have done it. Immediately you start wondering, oh my God, has something gone wrong that Ambika did not appreciate me? That was the first step of worry you had.
Yes.
That question. And then you take me to the other room and say, oh, we recently got this room redone. Again, I decided not to respond. So now your worry is somewhere getting cemented. That, oh, this color probably is not nice, or she is not liking it, or maybe my choice was not right. So see, your worry has doubled. Correct? And then every time you want to show me something, you would start thinking about it before you show me, whether it would be right to show or not right to show. So this is how we start getting worried and upset over little things in life.
Absolutely.
While at the same time, you very well could have thought, maybe she does not like the color, but this is my house. Maybe she did not like the way I decorated it. That is fine. It is my house. But the person who worries will not be able to logically think or rationally think. That is where the problem begins. And when these worries start accumulating, एक के बाद एक जब शुरू हो जाती है ये worries, हम सिर्फ सबसे बुरा ही expect करते हैं. We only expect the worst to happen. So while doing something, you're already projecting yourself the worst case scenario. And this becomes anxiety. So first you worried, then it became little over worrying, and then it became a habit and a pattern, and now it has become anxiety. And when this anxiety continues, it becomes an interfering problem in the person's life at all levels. It is not just at the thought level, it starts interfering with even the work that the person does. It's like, even if you want to serve a glass of water, you would think 10 different options before you serve that water, because you're so worried about how to serve that glass of water to the guest. And see, it has now become persistent. So yes, over-worrying and anxiety are interrelated. So it's like I always tell everybody, the moment you start worrying, if it is not concern and if it becomes worry, please start taking note of your thoughts, because it's not difficult to change your thoughts.
Exactly.
So this is how they are related.
So now that you've understood that, over-worrying and anxiety are definitely related, so now let us also understand that one step ahead to anxiety, hypertension, being tensed and then being hypertense. So is hypertension and anxiety also interrelated?
Right, Barsha. I just, give you an idea that all our thought processes reflect somewhere physically in our body. Now, hypertension, is essentially a state of the mind, and then it becomes state of the body. I would give an example here, which all of us would initially feel probably bad about it, but then they would recognize it. You may have seen some people have constipation, right? Not a good thought to have. But some people have constipation right from childhood, right? And you would be surprised to know that constipation is always a chronic disease. Always. It's not like you woke up today in the morning and you had constipation. You would always have a history of constipation. And no virus or bacteria cause it. So what do we find in people like these is that if you go into their lives, you see that these people do not have a habit of sharing their thoughts with others. And they like keeping everything to themselves. So constipation is rather a phenomena, and it starts with the mind. Your mind is constipated with thoughts, and then it becomes a physiological problem. So if you see, when you run, right, another example I'd like to give. When you run, you must have noticed that your blood pressure also rises and your heartbeat also rises, isn't it? And we all are quite aware of that.
Yes.
And that is how our body caters to the requirements of the muscles, which need energy and power. Even the thought of running, Barsha, begins to elevate our blood pressure. And that is why you must have seen in events like athletics, you have that countdown of 3, 2, 1 and then a fire.
Yeah.
So in that, So in that the 3, 2, 1, it is essentially the body that is being prepared for an immediate outburst of energy to the muscles. And the blood pressure slowly rises just by the thought process itself that you're going to run. Right? And that's how the body is prepared to take action. So we may at the same time think about running in our minds and the BP will rise. When we stop that mental activity, the BP also goes back to normal. Now, Barsha, tell me, what happens if we never stop?
I think everything will come to a stop. I think अगर इसको सही तरीके से सोचा न जाए और इस एंगल से न सोचा जाए तो फिर तो I don't know, my imagination goes back to that constipation problem and you feel so bad about it.
Yes, actually it is actually a bad problem. Yes. And the mind is, you can see how toxic the thoughts are.
Actually, and I don't know, my thought just went back to it. Oh goodness, ये होने वाला है और हर रोज होगा. Oh.
Exactly.
जी.
So that has become a habit now, see. So what happens if you never think of stopping in your life? Okay, I would give you another example, right? This is from our everyday professional life. Say, for example, you're in a job profile that requires you to be always on your toes. Like, this is typical job profile of everyone today, right? To be on our toes. And, it is your mind that is on constant alert in all these kind of jobs, ready to take action. The body tries to keep up with the ever alert mind of ours. And the body is not designed to do that, Barsha. It is not a machine. Gradually, that hyper-tense state of the mind, I would repeat, that hyper-tense state of the mind becomes the state of the body. And the body gets locked in perpetually in the action-ready mode. And this is a grave disorder of the body because all the body organs are now under constant stress. And because of elevated stress levels, the body has if I have to say in a simple word, the body has adapted to your new lifestyle and has become numb. What I mean by numb is that, Barsha, now the stress is your new normal state. Yes. There is no normal, right? Stress is the new normal state. Now, is that a surprise that this person may not have hypertension because the mind is always hypertensed? So, imbalances of every major organ of the body, including kidney. Now, this is from our energy system that I'm talking about, right? Because we have experienced this in thousands of years of studies that, imbalances of every major organ of the body, including the kidney, stomach, liver, and heart, can result into hypertension. And until and unless, Barsha, you don't identify the organ affected, you can't manage hypertension at all. And I would emphasize here that hypertension, or what we call as high BP, is not a disease. Hence, there is no question of a cure. Just like hypothyroid is not a disease, and we should not even seek any cure for that. High BP is a result of organ disorder, which in many cases, Barsha, is caused by psycho-emotional distress. So, of course, both are interrelated.
Okay. So now that you have understood at so much of length and, of course, depth, and I must appreciate Antriksh and Ambika ma'am, the kind of examples you quote to us makes us understand that what looks simple is actually not simple. So, आज के एपिसोड में तो वाकई में before I forget, I should not forget thanking Antriksh especially and Ambika ma'am that the kind of examples they have quoted today has actually made us understand that did you ever realize that this constipation problem is so common? And similarly, I would say constipation of thought and constipation of the way you look at an issue and the constipation of way you overlook issues. तो वो वाकई में सीवियर हो सकता है and that is why we are talking about the severe topic of depression and anxiety today. Absolutely, and a professional help will help you to fight it better, right?
Yeah.
और जब बहुत सारे लोगों से मिलती है, so let us also seek your help in this. That how can a counselor help people who are fighting with depression and anxiety?
I have seen that person who is under depression or has an anxiety try to cope up with these negative emotion by avoiding the situation. But avoidance can backfire and make the situation worse. In such cases, we as a counselor can help the person to identify the factors that contribute to their anxiety and depression and teach them healthier and effective way to cope up with them. We help them to understand their behavioral pattern before and after the emotion is experienced. We also provide them therapy and encourage them to learn new coping skills. empower them to apply the coping skills in future situations. And in case of depression and anxiety, it is important that client should be regular with his or her counseling and therapy session for best and lasting result. And depression and anxiety not only affect the person but also his family member too. The counselor also helps the family member to understand their loved one's situation and help them to learn a way to interact with them. The counselor and therapist keep the client and family member updated about the progress of client. So please listeners, if you or your loved one are facing any mental or emotional problem, don't shy, ask for professional help. It is the first step to getting back to feeling like yourself again.
Absolutely. So come back to life again and do seek help of a professional person, because the professional person will help you to bring back your life to track very, very easily.
Yes,
That's how. Yeah, thank you so much, Bindia मैम, and we will look forward कि आने वाले एपिसोड में हम आपकी हेल्थ के थ्रू लिसनर्स को और जो भी किसी भी तरीके के हैप्पी माइंड और हैप्पी हेल्थ इश्यूज से गुजर रहे हैं, they can seek your help.
Yeah, absolutely, Barsha.
Yeah, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Barsha.
So with a big thanks to Antriksh sir, Ambika ma'am, and of course Bindia ma'am, we would definitely want to understand from you, especially Antriksh sir and Ambika ma'am, in this case when we have identified depression, anxiety, stress at a very high level, what really works? The medicines, counseling, therapies, or just being friendly? What is your experience in this?
Barsha, I would request Ambika to answer this question, because it deals primarily with the psychological aspects of our health, and then I'll give in some energy into it.
So now we're talking about what would work the best: medicines, counseling, or therapies. Okay, to put it in a very straightforward manner, what works more will depend on the stage at which the client consults us. However, in any of these situations, we always begin with assessing the client using scientific tools that are completely recognized and validated. And these are tools that are recognized by the major governments or the institutions that take care of psychological issues. So in case the condition is, high to severe, the client is referred to a medical practitioner. And in cases that are mild to moderate, we begin with counseling, which is then followed by therapy as required, because there are many therapies that we all use. Some of them could be CBT, which is called cognitive behavior therapy. Then we have REBT, which is rational emotive behavior therapy. Then there is something called EFT tapping, which is emotion freedom technique tapping. Then there is cognitive drill therapy. There is compassion focused therapy. There are many, many therapies that we use. And we also use a combination. So I also use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I use quite a bit of visualization techniques. I use white light therapy. So we do a combination as and when required. But, I would really want to quickly touch upon the difference between counseling and therapies, because many people feel that counseling is the same as therapy or vice versa.
Sure.
So that is not how it is. So we always begin with counseling, and counseling is a short term and it is kind of focused upon identifying the issues and implementing potential solutions to a current issue or the problem that the person comes with. So commonly, if you see, people visit counselors because they're not comfortable discussing an issue with their family or friends or colleagues or near ones, because they feel very judged. They feel that, if I told about my issue, the person may laugh at me. And if you see, this happens a lot with children, which is why they never talk to their parents. Like I was handling a couple of cases of, teenage depression. And they were depression cases. They were not feeling low or sad. So upon assessing, I got to know it is like mild depression. So the person did not particularly need medicines for that. But then when I asked, when all these symptoms kind of began for you, did you talk to anybody? The child immediately told me, no, ma'am, I did not, because My parents would have not listened to me and they would have laughed at me. So this is why they prefer to meet a counselor, because the counselor listens to the client absolutely non-judgmentally. They help with identifying the issues and also encourages the client to explore the possible options. So when the client and the counselor together starts exploring, the effect is much more stronger. Now coming to therapy, therapy is a medium to long-term process. And therapy is always deeper than counseling, as it helps to address the root causes of the problems that the client comes with. So the result in therapy is it is always more intense, as they bring significant changes in the outlook the client has, the beliefs the client has, the personality of the client, and even the feelings of the client. Therapy also focuses on giving the client the skills he needs for self-reflection and self-knowledge, because only when the client is able to look inside himself, he can come up with his own answers that will help him the best. And these are the skills that are hugely valuable after the therapy. So the client understands himself and he also understands the way his mind works. And therapy, as I said, is a long-term process. So, most of the times there are 10 plus sessions that may be required during therapies. It's not a one-time thing. Also, it is very important to understand that even when a person is on medication, say the person is on an anti-anxiety or an antidepressant, he must go for regular counseling and therapies as required, because this will help the client come out of the situation much more faster. And apart from counseling and therapies at Aananda Center for Counseling, we bring in a holistic approach, and this is why we have tie-up with Adyant Health, which Antriksh has founded. I think I'll now hand over the mic to Antriksh so that he can help you understand a little bit of, energy concepts here.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Ambika. Hi, Barsha.
Yeah.
So this is, you can understand now how important it is to go through the right channel of assessment, and how important it is to identify the real cause or the real issue of our problems. And this is where I would want to, reflect upon what we have talked about today. And, we have already discussed that, these problems like high BP, hyperthyroid, diabetes, all kind of autoimmune disorders like allergy, and you have these lumps and cysts and fibroids, insomnia. You go to any medical practitioner, and I get so many, you can say, patients who have issues with the gonads, including the cysts and fibroids of the ovaries and uterus. And common issues like, insomnia and frozen shoulder and pains of the back, joints and the body. These are certain things, Barsha, that can continue to affect us all throughout our life. And they, until unless we don't treat them from the point of their origin and manifestation, there is no solution to them. These are some of the common issues that people deal with in everyday life, and with continued medication for years, but with no relief. And these can be treated safely and effectively with acupuncture and Ayurvedic acupressure, marma, chromotherapy, to name a few. And these are practiced here at Adyant. It's important to understand, Barsha, that every disease is a result of internal imbalance of the energies. And to treat these diseases, you have to bring the body energies to the balanced state. Else you may go on with treatments for symptoms for ages to no avail. A holistic treatment ensures the issue is treated at the cause level, not at the surface.
So with this, I would also request you and Ambika ma'am to also give us a common number wherein, the listeners, if they can put in some of the questions, I'm sure they will definitely love to do that. मुझे अचानक से आज पता नहीं क्यों आपसे बात करके एक मूवी है लव यू जिंदगी, आपने देखी? वो उसमें शाहरुख खान की याद आ गई. I don't know, I have this habit of imagining. तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि शाहरुख खान के 2 वर्जन आ गए, एक मेल एक फीमेल, मतलब 2 फीमेल और एक मेल.
That's such a compliment, Barsha. But,
तो वो
you know,
यहाँ हम because the people who help us to love our zindagis are definitely the most lovable people, and they are the people like you, like Ambika ma'am, and Adyant and Aananda Consulting, who help people to love their life, and life has to be loved if you want to live it. So that is why at this point, before I forget, let me please request to give us one common easy number wherein we will request listeners, दोस्तों आपको किसी भी चीज पर, किसी भी इशू पर कोई शंका हो, दुविधा हो, आप श्योर है, अनश्योर है, या दोनों में से कुछ भी नहीं है, just a query, please do drop in a question with your name for Happy Mind, Happy Health, and address it to the program or to the mentors, and over to sir and ma'am for that number.
yeah, Barsha, I'll request Ambika to share the details for contacting us. There, Ambika.
Yeah, so it's not very difficult to contact us. The phone number, and it would be really wonderful if people could send a WhatsApp, because it's much more easier responding on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
The number is 76830 73436. I'll repeat that, 76830 73436.
Okay, एक बार और हो जाए मैम, so that I can also bag it. Yes.
बिल्कुल 76830 73436.
Okay.
And the email ID, if people wish to send an email, would be Aananda, that is AANANDA, AANANDA, aananda.info, info @gmail.com.
ओके, परफेक्ट. एंड वाकई में ये नाम आपको जिंदगी में आनंद को वापस लाने के लिए जरूर हेल्प करेगा. एंड लेट अस ऑल एफर्टाइज टू मेक आवर लाइव्स रियली रियली हैप्पी. तो थैंक यू सो मच अंबिका मैम एंड अंतरिक्ष सर. एंड आपने वाकई में हैप्पी माइंड हैप्पी हेल्थ को एक नया नाम दे दिया, और वाकई में मुझे लव यू जिंदगी का पूरा ख्याल आज के पूरे इंटरेक्शन में याद आया. So that is how it should be, and it should be for every day. So I'm really looking forward for the next episodes, and so that we can discuss more about how happy we all can be. So with a big thank you, and with a promise that we are meeting very, very soon with a new with a new issue, and with a new topic, I would say, with a new discussion platform. We will be very soon, listeners. We will be talking about how to rehabilitate when you have been uprooted from life for any of the concern. How can we cater into special education? How can we tackle the change in the lifestyle? So all that is coming up in Happy Mind and Happy Health, and of course we'll be meeting your questions in every of the episodes. So stay tuned with us. और आज के लिए बस इतना ही, और अगली बार फिर से मिलने तक खुश रहिए, खुशहाल रहिए, और प्यार से रहिए, आबाद रहिए, सुनते रहिए रेडियो सलाम नमस्ते.
Salaam Namaste, Salaam Namaste.